right. Good evening, everyone. Yeah. So, are we expecting?
Anthony's on, and Jen is on, and then our first number one is up. He's also on the phone here as well.
And I saw that Dylan.
Dylan is not here, and I believe the second person on the phone is for him.
Oh, okay. So we're still presenting that.
Mm-hmm.
And
then
Jamie?
Jamie, he wasn't sure. He might have to go out of town. And David, I don't.
David.
Hi, yeah, this is Jamie from the SVA in Dylan's place.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, Jamie, thank you. There's another Jamie on the commission that I was inquiring about.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
No worries. We'll get to you in a moment. Okay, first order of business, we have a couple different minutes to go through. The first is, I guess, taking it in order of the agenda. The first is the minutes of the master plan presentation, which really doesn't say a whole lot, so I assume there's no objection to these minutes.
Just point of order, is it normal to approve as our part of this commission?
Well, because I chaired that, I guess that's...
Well, the Board of Selectmen chaired that, right? So
no. Technically, I called the meeting because the first select woman was not able to attend. And then I opened it up. I talked to Anthony, who introduced the company. They presented, and I closed it. So the minutes simply state that they presented to the Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance, Board of Education, Parks and Recreation Commission, and RTM. And then makes reference to full discussion that's available on YouTube. And then that was it.
Right, but it's not a commission. So.
No.
So I think it's more appropriate to update it.
Okay. Well, we have no objection to, no one has any objection to this. Okay. The next would be our minutes from the January 18th commission meeting. Thank you for running that in my absence. Everyone get a chance to take a look at these? Yeah. Any corrections? Okay, hearing none. Those are accepted. Public input. There continues to be some emails that come forth on the master plan. And the only public input emails, Kelly, this directed at you, that I saw were specifically related to the master plan, correct?
Correct.
And since we'll be discussing the master plan later, we can hold off on those. Okay. Bob Hendrick, VP of Corporate Responsibility for Bigelow Tea, requesting their company picnic at Veterans, June 15th or June 27th.
Yes, he's on.
Bob, are you on?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. For the record, could you just introduce yourself and let us know your address and then present your request, please?
Yes, my name is Bob Hendrick. I'm the Vice President of Corporate Responsibility for the Bigelow Tea Company in Fairfield, 201 Black Rock Turnpike, Fairfield. We want to propose, we want to request to host our company picnic at Veterans Park on June 15th with a rain date of June 22nd. We've had our picnics at Fairfield Park for probably close to 20 years now. We always have a good time, and the town's always been nice to host us. You need other details?
You don't serve alcohol at the picnic, do you?
No.
Any questions?
How many years did you say? You should have 20. 20, okay.
Bob, you say that you've been holding it for 20 years?
I'm sorry, what?
I'm sorry, how many years did you say you have been holding this?
I'm guessing it's probably close to 20 years. between Veterans Park and then the other park on Stratfield Road.
Okay. Yes, I thought I read that it was less than that, but okay. There's no questions. Anyone want to make a motion? Okay.
Second.
Okay, we got McKay and Bill. Any further questions or conversations amongst the commission? Anything from the public? Back to the commission. All those in favor? All right, Ms. Hendrick, congratulations. You're all set.
Thank you very much.
Oh, hey, Jen, I missed you.
That's all right.
Jen, are you
Sounds
there?
good to me.
All right. Thank you. Okay, next up. I'm sorry, Jamie, I didn't get your last name.
Jamie McCusker.
Okay, Jamie McCusker is stepping in for Dylan on behalf of Stratfield Village Association to request to use Lincoln Park for the annual Lincoln Parkapalooza, September 9th with a rain date of September 10th from noon to 10. Jamie, Dylan's presented before, so we're familiar with this, but if you would, like Bob, just introduce yourself and give us your address for the record and tell us a little bit about the Parkapalooza.
Sure. My name is Jamie McCusker. I'm the co-president, along with Dylan O'Connor, of the Stratfield Village Association. We're a 501c3 nonprofit neighborhood association for the neighborhood of Stratfield and Fairfield. We are requesting that our third annual Lincoln Parkapalooza be held, or part of it be held in Lincoln Park on the date of September 9th, 2023, with a possible rain date of the next day, the 10th. As I said, this is our third annual, hopefully, Lincoln Parkapalooza. It's the biggest fundraiser of the year for the Stratfield Village Association, and essentially it is a big event for the neighborhood. We have live music in the park and in some of the front yards and porches around the park throughout the day, with the headliner playing in the park at night. It's kind of like a variation on Bridgeport's Porch Fest, but smaller in scale and just limited to the area around Lincoln Park.
Jimmy, I just have one question. You mentioned, or I guess it was from Dylan, mentions the possibility of Tito's coming again, and you mentioned that Tito staff will be responsible for making drinks, checking IDs. All those 21 will receive a drink bracelet at check-in and provide a second layer of security. I'm not worried about that, but the question is, if Tito's doesn't show up, you say that the event will be BYOB. How do you handle the age verifications, or who handles that?
We do that at check-in. So we sell our tickets online through the SVA website, but everybody has to check in upon arrival and get their armbands for the website, or for the festival. And as part of that, we check IDs so that they can have a bracelet for identifying that they're of age for BYOB.
Okay, and that's the way it's always been?
Yes, it is. To be honest, we don't want to be in the business of selling alcohol. The reason why we've done it as part of Tito's is because they're one of our headline sponsors. But the BYOB has been in effect for the past 2 years. We haven't had any problems. There has been no public drunkenness. There hasn't been any issues of trash or cleanup issues as a result. And so we hope to keep it the same way as it's been.
Okay. Any other questions?
One question. Jim, who's the headliner?
That's a good question. The last 2 years, we've had the Tom Petty Project as our headliner. We are in the process of actually trying to secure our lineup now. We're trying to do it a little bit earlier this year because we're concerned that we may have competition for some of the bands from other events that are taking place. Like I believe it's either Milford has their Porch Fest or their Oyster Festival that weekend, and Norwalk does as well. And so we're trying to lock them down right now. And so we're reviewing bands, and some of we've locked in about half the lineup, but the headliner is still in question right now.
Thank you. Bill, you have a question?
Yeah, I just have a question with the BYOB. If you still get Tito's, people will have the option as well to bring their own drink, because not everyone drinks Tito's.
Yes, exactly. So, it's kind of like a complimentary beverage that's provided by Tito's to anybody who's over 21. They will get a ticket when they check in and show their ID, and they can go and get a Tito's beverage. But otherwise, it's BYOB for everybody else.
Yeah, they sponsor my golf outing, so I'm very familiar with it.
Oh, they sponsor everything.
Yeah. Frank Paula, yep.
Okay. Any other questions? Would someone like to make a motion? Move. Okay, and Chris? Any further discussion? Anything from the top?
his address.
Oh. And Jamie, I'm sorry, if you said it, we missed it, your address for the record?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't say that. I live on 7 Lola Street in Fairfield.
Okay. Anything from the public? Back to the commission. All those in favor? All right, Jamie, congratulations.
Great. Thanks so much. We're really looking forward to it. And like I said, this event is our biggest of the year.
Jen, I forgot you again.
Dave just hopped on.
What?
An enthusiastic yes.
All right. And Dave Weber, you're here now?
I'm here.
Were you here for the presentation?
No, I wasn't. Sorry. I
Okay, so
abstained.
you're going to abstain?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Jen, I'll try and remember your next one.
All right.
Okay. Next up, Adam Jacobson, on behalf of Pet Pantry, the request to host the second annual Fairfield Dog Days event at Town Hall Green, Sunday, June 25th, 11 to 4. Sure.
Yes, Adam Jacobson. I reside at 241 Shetland Road, a local resident, local business owner of Pet Pantry Warehouse. We're on Black Rock Turnpike, 1876. Last year was our first annual Dog Days. We did it on actual Father's Day, so it was nice. Everyone got to get out. All the dog dads were able to come out and play with us. We had just a wonderful time. It was a great community event. It is a free community event. We sponsor the entire thing. We're asking to take place on Sunday, June 25th from 11 to 4 at Old Post Road, 611, which is the old town hall down there. We call it our furry fundraiser. There's just a lot of activities for people with dogs on leash to come in, run them in these little racetracks. We have plenty of local community businesses there as well selling wares. We support a ton of nonprofits through this event, and so we're just asking to be able to continue it again.
What would you call what the attendance was in the first one?
It was pretty robust. I would say maybe 800 people came through.
Really?
Or so. I would think, yeah.
Yeah, just a lot of people arriving, departing.
Yeah, there was never a stress point. We did have the fire department was there for Touch a Truck. We had police on site there also with the canine department, which we helped to support in town. There were police there. There was no incidents. There was plenty of space the way that it was created for people to walk around. We actually had a larger opportunity to use more of the areas, and we felt it just wasn't necessary. We used a really open layout, and it seemed to work perfectly.
And I recall last year there was some question when we were approving it as to where the funds were going to go.
Yep.
And I think, Chris, you were wanted to support one of the local shelters. Shelters?
Yes, exactly. I vaguely remember all the details. But
Yeah, so we donated to Adopt a Dog, we donated to Operation Hope, we donated to Wolfgang and Co. So in lieu of another pet nonprofit, we steered it towards Operation Hope and Wolfgang and Co. instead, which are really great local organizations, we thought.
Okay. And is it your intention to use the same charities?
Yep.
Or okay.
Yep.
Terrific.
Great.
Any other questions? Anybody?
I'll move.
Okay. Again, and Chris. Terrific. Any further comments, questions from the commission? David or Jen, any questions?
No, you asked my questions.
Okay. I'm not going to ask the public for any comments. So back to the commission. All those in favor? Thank you. Jen?
Yes.
Was that an approval?
Yes.
Okay. David?
Aye.
Okay. No, it's unanimous. All right.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Mark, good job. Mark, good job with that.
Yeah, good job. Support. Okay. Next up, Jen, the Board of Ed report.
Yeah, so we did move ahead with approving the Board of Ed budget. It did come down from a 4.09 to a 4.05% increase. We did also finally pass the charge to the consultants to move ahead with creating the redistricting plans. So now that's kind of in a lull period, and we expect to hear back at the latest in May. If there's some intermediate update, then I'll report out on that. But otherwise, it's kind of we won't be talking about that until about May. We will be presenting our budget to the Board of Selectmen on February 24th. And then just a couple of other things. We've had a lot of athletic success in our high schools. We're very proud of the Ward wrestling team, outstanding athletes for track at both high schools, the gymnastics team at Ward, and still waiting on results of the other teams in their FCIAC and state playoffs coming up. Other than that, at our last meeting, I did also ask Angelus to speak publicly regarding the issue with the summer camps, which had come up at our last Parks and Rec Commission meeting, so that it was fully out in the public. So that prompted a flurry of emails to me, but I know that Anthony has since, I believe, put out, at least on social media that I saw, the new camp location, so parents are becoming aware of that. And other than that, the board won't be meeting again this month except for a self-evaluation at the end of the month while we're really kind of focused on the budget. And that's it for Board of Ed.
All right. Any questions for Jen? Very good. Thank you. Okay, next up, the Rules Subcommittee. Here and act upon information of the Rules Report.
Yep. So the minutes from that meeting should have been in the email. You guys all got a chance to take a look at it? Okay. We have
yes, and I had one comment and one question,
sure,
if I may.
Seemed like a long meeting. Yes.
Well, it wasn't that long, but there were a lot of things specific to the marina rules or just tweaks. You know what I mean? Just like little tweaks here and there, a little addition, but a little bit.
And this is a tweak, a nitpicking tweak,
Okay.
because especially those who have been on this commission long enough remember all the pain that we've gone through on an annual basis with it. So I just want to be clear in on the third page. In section B, applications for boat slips.
Mm-hmm.
About halfway through the sentence starts, if any items other than the check and application are missing from the packet, a $250 late fee will be assessed. I just want to make certain that we have a deadline of the third Wednesday of February. Some of the applications come in prior to the deadline. If someone brings in a package on, say, February 1st, and it's missing an item, it isn't automatically going to be assessed a $250 late fee. They have until the third Wednesday, the deadline, to complete the package.
Got it. So that means that needs to be spelled out in here?
I think so.
Okay. Okay.
Of course, we want to encourage, people to bring in the packages as early as possible.
Right.
So if we could just spell that out, something to the effect that $250 late fee will be assessed if not completed by the third Wednesday.
Okay. So after the word assessed, it's not completed by the third Wednesday of February.
Correct.
Okay.
And then the other question I had, same page, a little bit lower, it says, and maybe I'm just not reading this correctly, but the only change to be submitted to the full commission is to follow the field, and jumping down, the field use fee is $50 per hour, $75 for Tomlinson turf. Right below that, the G. Brown also mentioned the possibility of raising field usage fees to $50 per hour, $75 turf. So is this saying...
doesn't want to do it now, but she said that it was something that she was starting to think about because she was calling around to other towns, like Westport and somewhere else, and that's their fees are... Oh, I must have put the wrong numbers. I think it's 75 and 100.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
okay.
Sorry. I just did the wrong numbers there.
Yeah, all right. That was my question.
Can you remember, was it 75 and 100? Yeah. Yeah,
So
sorry.
Galen is talking about, so this would be 75 and 100. So the current 50 and 75 is accurate, but Galen's talking about increasing.
Possibly,
okay.
Yeah. I don't know if it's next year or whatever, but.
Okay. Those are my only two items.
Okay.
Which is plenty of information because we're doing this minutes again. Like, we're not acting upon minutes, right? The subcommittee's minutes. We're not changing rules today based off of minutes. I assume at a future meeting, we will have a red line version of rules that we'll review.
Well, the only, and this is, I was wondering the same thing, because I thought maybe we would get through the full scope of the rules and then as a full commission make those suggestions. However, we prioritized the marina rules at the last meeting and the field reservations with the intent of those rules moving forward as today because of the deadlines of when the applications start rolling in and he's going to send out his letters, and then the fields are obviously going to start ramping up pretty soon as well. So we could do a vote tonight on just what we've done, and then moving forward, we can kind of go through the rest of the scope, which is we have a lot to get through. Playgrounds, parks, cemetery locations and regulations, the skate park, the beach rules and regulations, like that can all wait. I don't know. So that was our intent, and that's what we were kind of got.
And you've only had one meeting though?
We've only had one meeting.
I think it's maybe a little premature to start voting on it. Especially with only 5.
Well, we'll miss that now, but
maybe Anthony can speak.
Yeah, this is Anthony. I'd be happy to chime in here, and I don't think there's any proposal on the floor to change anything at the moment.
No, there's not. That's what I was going to say. And if you did want to add that, we would need to, present what you wanted to do, consider it to add to the agenda for those specific items. But I do think if we have time next meeting still to incorporate it into the marina rules, that we'd be better off to identify here and act on specific rules that you want to change.
Okay. See, I thought that the wording in, sorry, I still have my agenda in front of me, but I thought that the wording of hear and act upon meant that we could act upon it tonight.
I don't think it should be written. I don't think it should have been written on the agenda as hear and act upon. It's the same as the Board of Education report. We're not hearing and act upon we're hearing and acting upon it. It's just a report.
Understand, but as you said, and as McKay just reiterated, we can if there's something specific, but this is too generic because we're not going to be making, we're not going to be accepting anything that's been discussed in here. So if you wanted to, identify solely a change or two in the marina that you were ready to present, we could consider that. But and to McKay's question, no, we're not approving the minutes here as the commission, but it's being reported, so we can opine on something we're going to need clarification. So I guess my point is, if it's okay with you, unless you believe that we need to act upon some portion of the rules because the March meeting may be too late, then I would suggest that you identify what you want to do for the March meeting.
So what do you think?
I'm looking through it.
It's really just the yacht yard and the marina specific.
Right, yeah, because the fields aren't open till April 1st.
Yeah.
So,
because I don't know if somebody submits their application and we don't act upon this until our March meeting, is all of this what?
Existing rules.
It's existing rules until the next voting season, which I don't think would be
And
what Justin wants.
So,
If I could just chime in again, the issue was 3 boaters, and I thought the consensus was we were just grandfathering those 3 boaters in.
Yeah. But there were other. Then there were all those other little changes that Justin kind of went through.
yeah,
I think all those other changes can wait. It really was just about those 3 boaters and whether or not he had to kick them out.
the three boaters at Yee Yacht Club, or three boaters?
So it's
With the outboard being beyond the limitation?
Yeah.
Correct.
I thought there was a lot more than 3.
He's only concerned about 3.
Well, we had the 3 sailboats that were actually beyond the 14, but then there was a whole bunch with the motor in the upright position that were beyond the measurement. So I think weren't they suggesting grandfathering all of those in, and then changing the measurements going forward to include the outboard in the up position?
Yeah.
So all of the boats that are there now would be grandfathered.
Yeah, and I don't remember how many you said there were. Do you?
I thought there was only 3, wasn't there?
No, there was only 3 sailboats that exceeded the 14 feet?
One was 14.2.
Yeah.
14.6 was the biggest.
Right, but, so those would be grandfathered. But if your rules are to change it so that from the front to the back with the motor up to be 14 feet, then there's a whole lot more of boats down there that have to be grandfathered. And I don't remember the exact number, but I know I had it, and it was a lot of them.
Did you get that information from Justin, or did you do a walkthrough?
The issue that he, I think, was focusing most on was that N-shaped dock. where you said that,
Right.
where the Boston Whalers are?
That was the hardest bit.
Yeah.
But I wrote like forward most projection to start 14 feet.
Yeah.
It was one of the notes I wrote down.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the changes we made. I tried to keep them all in red so people would be able to see
Yeah,
where we're.
yeah, hovercraft or e-foil
Yeah, but
was
so.
another change.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Justin.
Oh. Just.
Yeah.
He's here.
Hey, Justin?
He's on the phone.
Yeah.
So when we spoke about Yee Yacht Club, there were 3 of the sailboats, the 2 brothers and then a third person, where the boats actually exceeded the 14 feet. But there were, you told me, I forget the number, many more of the power boats that if you measured them with the motor in the up position would be beyond 14 feet, correct?
Correct. So that's why we did, when we discussed with the rules committee to keep it as the, I believe the measurement from the front of the boat to the engine bracket. And not include the motor like we do for the small and medium slips at South Benson, because if we did include the motor, we would then eliminate a section of boats that we wouldn't really have a location to store. One being the 13-foot Boston Whaler that's predominant at Yee Yacht Yard.
Okay, is that what's in the rules here? Because if that's the case, and it's not including the outboard motor in the up position, then I agree there's only 3 grandfathered boats. But then the measurements at Yee Yacht Club will continue to be different than the measurements at
From
the
the
marina.
forward most projection to the stern. So it says in the large boat category, Justin, tell me if I got this right. In the large boat category, the overall measurement stated as the footprint per application includes outboard motors in the up position, and dinghies at the Yee Yacht Yard are measured from the forward most projection to the stern.
That's correct. Yeah. So to back it up, and we're measuring it in the same manner that we measure the small and the medium slips, which is, or very similar manner, I should say, the front of the boat to the back of the boat, not including the swim platform and the motor in the trimmed up position. The minor nuance that it says D-rings for the small and medium slips, but it's basically the same style measurement, whereas the large boats are a true length overall measurement, the frontmost thing to the rearmost thing on the boat.
Okay, so that's only the large boats at the marina.
That's
that way.
correct, is the true length overall.
Okay.
Just 3 ways of basically.
Okay, so the only thing that we really need to address as it relates to applications would be everything else seems to be able to wait. So the only thing that we really need to address is at Yee Yacht Club that the measurement is 14 feet from tip to tip, not including the
Say
motor.
that on the application.
What's that?
It does say that on the Yee Yacht Yard application, just like it has the actual lengths on the South Benson Marina lengths are in the South Benson Marina applications.
Okay, so it's already there, so we really don't have to address it. We just have to, adhere to our rules.
Correct, and actually put the the definition of how we're measuring the vote for UEI yard.
Right, but if we don't address that until March, you already have it in the application, so there's no urgency to address that this evening.
That's correct.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah. So I'll just tell Jamie to make sure that he puts something more formal on the March meeting that will actually act upon. Do we want to be acting upon field usage rules at that point? I think it was pretty straightforward. We didn't do much there.
No.
Unless something else comes up.
And it was 75 or 100 a check.
Right. Okay. I'm going to change that. Can I change that and resend you the minutes? Those two. Okay. That's all I got. We haven't scheduled our next meeting, but once Danny gets back in town, we'll.
Okay. Any questions? Any questions,
Yeah.
Jen, David?
Brian, we can always have a special meeting if we need to.
Yep. No questions.
Okay, I'm sorry, David, I didn't really get what you said.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, all right. Now I know. Yes, you're right. We can. If we need to, but I don't think there's urgency that would require that. Okay. Next up, the master plan subcommittee report. And again, it says here an act, but we're just presenting information tonight.
Right.
Go ahead.
Okay. So we met 3 times, November, December, and January, Brian, Chris, and I. And basically what we did is Brian brought a map in, laid it out, and we mapped out, took a yellow sticky, here's the playground, here's the facility, and we just put all the amenities that were already there and what's being proposed. And then from there we sort of cross-referenced, proximity. Like the good example was, the dog parks. We laid out all the dog parks that they proposed, and we said, there's we've got 3 up in the north part, and we got it down here. So we decided, based on that, do we really need 3 dog parks, so close together? So we sort of did process of elimination. From that, then, we talked about the white, leaving that out because it's really not, we don't know what's going on there. We also talked about Town Hall. I'm not sure. There's renovations possibly there, expansion, so we're not sure what's happening there, so we sort of left that out. And then we went to, then we started to decide, what we wanted to have phase 1, concentrating on phase 1. And we went.
If I may, right now, on the phases, the BL master plan did identify the 15 sites in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. And so what we were doing, and Bill, back to you, we were kind of looking at, trying to look at this from the high level and determine what we thought was appropriate in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, sometimes agreeing with them, sometimes disagreeing, and sometimes agreeing or disagreeing based on factors that BL would not be aware of, such as Dwight was, they were proposing 2 pickleball courts there. If Dwight is, for the time being, off the table, and pickleball is a very important thing, then we may have accelerated the phase level of something where additional pickleball courts were being put in.
Which was Old Field. That's why we moved Old Field to phase 1. So Brian said, we sort of identified, reshuffled what we thought, came up with our phase 1 that we feel should be in phase 1, which is about $12 to $14 million cost. And we identified South Pine Creek being that we thought that was priority number 1. Developing that, Dugriago, Tunsis Hill, Lake Mohegan, and then Old Field. And then we had someone from the town talk about Lincoln Park. We put it on the waterfall chart right now, but it may get bumped in it's phase 3, so we have certain aspects of that Brian talked about earlier about certain aspects of that is bring that to phase one as well, and not everything. And that's it. You guys, any input?
Where's the South Pine Creek Recreation? Is that where Sullivan?
Yes.
Okay.
We have some concerns there in terms of, you know, each site we looked at, like, you know, the football field is not regulation, one of the football fields was. So we need some clarification on that.
Yeah, where Anthony's, he confirmed that there will be regulation,
Yeah,
but
one turf field with midget.
yeah, but we still question why they were on the pictures with dimensions that would not support a football field. So, the only thing I would add is Duke Yellow, again, with regards to the dog parks, we don't feel that we need to go from 0 dog parks to 6 dog parks. Then, that just doesn't work. And I think we all agree that Duke Yellow probably, because that would be a large dog park, that would be an ideal site for a dog park. However, we would like to begin a feasibility study to see if we could get a second softball field up there. We think that would be a better use of that space. If it was impossible for us to get a softball field up in that location, which I don't think, short of not having money, I think that location could support a second softball field. But if for whatever reason we couldn't get a softball field, then we would probably end up supporting Duke Yellow for the dog park.
Yeah, I spoke with somebody, one of the guys that was here, the president from the Fairfield Little League, and he said he's in the process of trying to work with someone that basically is a field engineer and would present findings. He's like, he doesn't know if we're going to do it on our own, how we're going to do it, which is something they could present to us and say, yeah, it can be done, and it backs up. Maybe with
Would Anthony know? Anthony, would you know if a second softball field can go in up there?
Well, it just depends on the topography. And I also have to double check on if there were any deed restrictions put on that property when we put in the first one. Because again, the 12 neighbors up there were up in arms and took us to court, and that got hung up for a long time.
Which you mentioned.
Yeah, we knew that, yeah. Okay. Anything else?
Yeah. So I saw that you guys looked at Walter Fitzgerald or Giant Steps in relation to pool, and you looked in relation to field. That was not a recommendation in the report. It was listed as one of the additional sites for consideration. I'm curious why that was discussed. You did explain Town Hall, but some of these other sites that were recommended, the train station, some of the private properties were not considered. Why is that?
What do you mean when you say by train station?
I'm just looking at the 5 sites that were recommended for consult for other consideration. The only one that was listed in the minutes is Walter Fitzgerald.
I think the primary reason that we are looking at that, and that's a long-term wish list thing, is because there's a lot of land up there.
Blank canvas, there's really nothing.
There's 10 acres around the property, then I think there's 30 more acres, 20 more acres. I forget if it's
27. I think.
Yeah, I forget if it's combined 30 or combined 40. So there's just a lot of acreage up there. Again, that wasn't in BL. That's not on any of our phase 1 phases in this, but it's kind of a wish list,
Yeah, no, I raised it because this goes back to a point I previously raised, which is that I think these properties that were recommended for consideration deserve further analysis separate from what this subcommittee is currently looking at, because I think the opportunity might be great, but how you address it will be challenged and will probably have different strategies than I think what we're doing with existing town properties. Just reinforcing that point.
Yeah, I know, and we agree with you. I mean, if if you look at Walter Fitzgerald, as we said, it's 37 acres. It's not really, I don't think it's being utilized
They
at
have it
all.
listed as 11.7.
But there's also 27 acres
Contiguous property.
beyond,
But my point is, my point simply is, though, that you're looking at one of the recommended properties, not all 5. And so I'm just curious why with the chair picking the answer with that acreage on. I just think that if we want to be holistic about it and look at really trying to address the needs of the town, I think that there's a stronger need to look at all 5 of these as well as others, because frankly, in my own private conversation plan that I was told was undevelopable by the consultant, others do consider it very developable. So I just think that there should be further looking into that.
But we own that property, right?
yes.
So, and again, I wasn't here last month, but in reviewing the minutes, McKay did bring up the transparency issue. And we do continue to get, mainly on Ash Creek, but one came up this time from Dover. And I know my initial reaction is that we advertise in subcommittee meetings, we invite all public, we try to be diligent about posting the minutes, we then present to the overall commission, and then this becomes part of the minutes of the overall commission, but it's probably still not reaching everyone with all of our thoughts. So I guess a consideration is to, I think there was a website, it's still up, the master plan website. Maybe we should take it upon ourselves to, engage a bit more and add some more information to that, what we're thinking. And so that if anyone, comes in, we can refer them to the subcommittee minutes, the commission minutes, or
probably
to
put
that
the links, and then they can follow through from there.
Just to build on this, so here's the master plan website. Maybe there's another one. This one currently exists. It basically shows all the work done to date, except to the point where we as a commission decided not to accept the plan as a whole. We just not to approve it, we accepted it. And so I think on this website, we need to provide an update that basically says that we have reviewed these plans, we have fast-tracked, I think, the 5 projects, we have developed a subcommittee to thoroughly review each project so that we're not just leaving people believing that all these workshops, all this stuff is like, it appears to, like, if you know nothing about this and you go to this website, it appears that all this stuff is moving forward.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. I think, I think that's fair, and I'm happy to work on that. Kelly, I guess I need to, speak to you about that, because I'm not going to go on to that and just start typing away.
I don't know.
Are they the webmaster, BL, or is it through the parking?
No, that's through our website.
Oh, all right. So we could, I guess we could maybe have another meeting and
We need to do an update.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay. I think that's a good idea.
Good point.
I think any email that comes in, we can refer them to the link.
Definitely.
Yeah.
If the link makes any sense.
We should have a process,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So. Okay.
But I agree. I think most people are very much in the dark. about
Yeah, we
it.
could link them.
Like, people don't even know about Penfield. They're like, what do you mean it's closed? So, a lot of people are-
Okay. Anything else? All right. Any other questions regarding the master plan subcommittee report?
Brian, can I ask one quick question?
Certainly.
Yeah, only because I can't recall. For if South Pine Creek is the one where that's being moved on first or most quickly, I can't remember. Is anything happening with Kiwanis as part of that?
Well, as the report and recommendations from BL was basically to turn the fields and turf them. Chris really wants us to consider the lighting on both of the softball and the Kiwanis field.
Putting lighting up this one.
Yeah, addressing the lighting on the softball that is very old, but
it's inadequate, and then there's nothing
And
at
then-
Kiwanis.
yeah,
So if we're going to
lighting
spend all this
is-
money, you might as well just add lights down there, right?
Gotcha. Okay, thanks.
Okay. And that was that. I don't think there was anything else on Kiwanis.
No, other than just the school and the town doing improvements, but I don't think there was nothing there. No replacement of stands or anything else or anything like that.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Moving on, we have the director and program reports and approvals.
Okay. Everybody should have received a copy of the director's report. You'll see that we are running our spring registration. Most of our spring programs have filled up at this point. Summer camp registration will take place next week at the newly posted summer camp sites, much to the chagrin of many. But those are the sites we've got, so that's what we're going with. We are, as you guys just talked about a little bit about the marina, deadline of the marina was today. As of writing this, there were 530 boats in, which is right on target with where we normally are. About 10% or so of the marina either missed the deadline or will not be renewing. We are in the budget season. First Selectwoman will be presenting her budget to the Board of Selectmen next week for their approval. Once they approve, it goes to the Board of Finance. Then they do their 9 meetings and decide what they're going to cut, and then it moves on to the RTM, who will ultimately approve the final budget the first week of May, and then the Board of Finance passes the mill rate. They set the mill rate. Capital projects, we did present to the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance earlier this month for 4 different projects. The first project was $575,000 for upgrades to the Tungus Hill pickleball courts. That was to repair the 4 that are there and then add 2 others that were called for in the master plan. $522,000 for replacing the Fairfield Woods Middle School tennis courts, and $275,000 for upgrades to the Smith Richardson driving range, and then $150,000 for replacement of the playground at Sergeant Murphy Park, which is between the police department and fire station number 1. Since you guys were just talking about South Pine Creek, the recreation complex down there, I did have a placeholder in the 5-year plan for the project down there, and that has been tabled by the capital planning group. So as of right now, that's not being carried in the waterfall chart. So happy to answer any questions.
Could you share more on the rationale of that? Or any color commentary?
They didn't have a spot for it.
Got it.
So they know they have it. They've kind of put it on there's like 5 or 6 projects that they put on a separate list that they know exist, but they don't have a spot for yet. So, ultimately, I believe next year they'll review it again and see if they could slot it in somewhere. But as of right now, it's not on the 5-year plan.
Prioritization.
Yep. And then, the only other thing that I want to make sure everybody's aware of, and Bridget talked about Penfield, is that FEMA will be in town holding a town hall meeting next Thursday, February 23rd at Ludlow, Ludlow High School in the auditorium, answering all the questions and concerns that the residents have on that project, primarily around the flooding and the fact that FEMA's not there to negotiate. So happy to answer any questions.
But did you say what time that was on the 23rd?
6 o'clock.
So, Anthony, what is FEMA proposing right now?
My understanding is basically keep the building as is and lower the grade of the beach. So when they rebuilt that building, they built it up. And the original grade is about 8 feet, which essentially is if you're standing in the parking lot, it's that level. So if you were standing in front of Penfield looking at the water with the building in front of you, you would essentially be able to see straight underneath that building and to the Long Island Sound. They want the water to be able to flow, from what I understand, right underneath it and into the neighborhood, and then same thing, it would be able to retreat back out. The neighbors are up in arms because obviously this encourages the water to come through to the neighborhood, and they're all worried that they're going to get flooded out, and FEMA's, for lack of a better response, is, well, that's why we have insurance. If we don't comply with FEMA's regulations and requirements, then we jeopardize all the houses down there from being insured. So they're coming out, like I said, Jim, and I believe Congressman Himes is coming out on Thursday as well to answer all these questions and, hopefully put everybody at ease. But we'll see.
Will they be proposing a timeline of any kind?
No. Nope, I have not heard a timeline.
So can the pavilion remain open, through this whole process?
As of right now, it's closed. It will have to be closed during the process of the remediation, and then the whatever fix they're going to do, it'll have to be closed. But again, I don't have a timeline, so I just throw out there, if they say we're not going to start this work till a year from now, does that mean we reopen the building? I don't know. That's going to be something the administration will have to decide.
Anthony, I have a question back about South Pine Creek.
Sure.
If it's, not on the 5-year plan, so everything with this, master plan really realistically is not with stuff happening within the next 5 years then? If, that's the big priority for, that we see. I mean, are they going to pick some of the smaller projects? Or?
Yep, I tried to carry a dog park on there. That got scratched as well. So yeah, there's going to be it's going to be an uphill battle to try to get things done. Like I don't know who mentioned it before, but there's a lot of competing priorities in this town. So all we can do is keep plugging away, and I'm optimistic we'll be able to get support for some of the projects, but absolutely not every one of these projects that are proposed. So I think it's a lot about, just prioritizing for us. What do we feel as a commission and as a department that, should be our priorities? Again, it's not 6 dog parks, but, it'd be nice to maybe get one. It's not going to be 16 tennis or pickleball courts. We're going to have to meet somewhere in the middle on this. Excuse me. So yeah, I think that's where we are right now.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you. And finally, anything that anyone wants to bring up for the good of the order?
I have a question about the fact that there's not going to be a vendor at Penfield this summer, I'm assuming, right? Building's closed. Anthony?
It's too early for me to make. I can't say for certain that there won't be a vendor there because, again, if the administration says, hey, nothing's happening, and FEMA says nothing's happening until next year, and they say we want the concession open, well, I'm going to work with our current concessionaire to see if he can be there. The building's closed? Yeah, nothing.
I just was thinking if there's no concession, maybe to get people down to the beach this summer, if there could be an allowance for food trucks.
We did that the last time the building was closed, and nobody went to Penfield. Nobody, the the food truck made no money. Doesn't mean that there's not other food trucks that wouldn't want to be there. I know one that we have down at Sasco all the time that does pretty well from what
All right.
Okay. Anything else from anyone?
Who are you working with? EPA, Washington or Hartford or?
Where are they located?
I have no idea. I don't know who we're waiting on.
The Environmental Protection Agency?
know where they're coming from, out of Connecticut or coming from Washington.
I think,
Thanks.
Salad, oh, that's right.
I don't think anyone knows, David. All right.
Okay. Thank
Hearing nothing else, then we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.